Well, it's the start of a brand new month. Here we are in a rainy October, and it's time for another edition of Daftaboutcraft, the craft beer podcast.
Daftaboutcraft.
With me, Dave D.
And me, Dave B.
Now, it's been a busy few weeks for us because, not sure if you know, but one of us is based in the West Midlands, that's me, Dave D, and the other is based in Suffolk. But we were able to meet up for the first time in a good while just recently, and we went on a bit of a crawl around the craft hotspots of Birmingham, as Dave B will explain to you, no doubt.
Yeah, it was really good. I've not been out in Birmingham for a long time. I've also not been out in a city for a long time, and it certainly came through drinking out in a built-up location compared to town drinking. I definitely felt like quite the country mouse. We sort of had to go through an industrial estate to get to Glasshouse Brewing, going through a salvage yard to get to Attic, which is all perfectly normal. And something that I'm very much used to when you do go to these sorts of establishments, but it did feel quite alien, having been so used to either drinking at home or drinking just in the town centre of Ipswich, which is sort of a far cry from those locations.
See, I'm so used to doing that; it's sort of become second nature.
Yeah, I wish it was. I mean, if anyone wants to open a tap room in an industrial estate in Ipswich, and let me know, and we'll get cracking with it. It was really enjoyable, but just. Yeah, as I say, quite alien to get my head around again and remember this is actually where a lot of breweries start. It's not just turning up in a box back on your front door again.
We also went to Dig Brew as well, didn't we? That was good.
If you get the chance to go there, really recommend it. I sort of found them in lockdown, actually, and wasn't disappointed when actually getting to go to the premises as well. They're moving into canning rather than the bottles with the wax tops, which is a bit of a shame in a way. I do like the wax tops, but they can be an absolute pain to get off. But the pizzas were to die for and filled us up nicely to soak up a few more beers along the way, so that really worked out well.
And what did you think of Glasshouse then?
Glasshouse would probably be highlight of the trip for me. I loved their stuff. It was all light, it was all pale, so I was sort of in my element.
So we just heard in the last few days that their Glasshouse will be upping their production in the weeks ahead and sort of slimming down the tap room side of things so they can get their beers out to more people. So that is great news for them.
Yeah, I can't wait. Having never had them before until we had that little trip, I know you were very keen to sort of show them off almost, and I certainly was taken with them. I'll definitely be looking to get their cans. Probably also worth mentioning, if you're a beer aficionado and you need to buy some for a trip back, if you are going to Birmingham, get yourself out to Cotteridge Wines, which was another.
This was amazing because I go there quite a lot, but Dave B has never been there before, obviously, and it blew his mind. He was sort of walking around in a bit of a trance almost, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, there's bottle shops, and then there's this. I mean, it's not a huge premises, but it was incredible, the range of stuff. The pricing's really good, and luckily we were on a night out. I mean, we could have filled the boot of the car that was running us around very nicely as taxi, so thank you to your wife, Lisa, for that. I'd like to go back there, and if they want to do online ordering, I'd sign me up. Coming to you was actually the end of a trip round Shropshire for a few days, and part of that we went to the Iron Bridge, and I managed to get into the Coracle micro pub there. Again, if you're in that part of the world, go see that. It's superb. I had some Equilibrium on a key keg, which I don't expect to see anywhere, let alone a micro pub in the Iron Bridge, and that was incredible. It was one of the best beers I've had this year, if not for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's a great place. I'd love to go there and get some fish and chips from just down the road and take them in and just work my way down the list of beers they've got. Great place. Like Dave says, if you're ever in the area, get yourself in there to the Coracle. Now, not only did we meet up to go around Birmingham, we also sort of met up online as well for the Craft Beer Hour just recently in conjunction with Campervan Brewery in Edinburgh.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to be selected as some of the people who got these beers for free. So full disclaimer there, we did get to taste beer for free. And it was great, obviously. Who doesn't want to taste beer for free? And it was just really nice to be part of it. We'd never done it before. It was a very enjoyable experience. The head brewer from Campervan, he was on. Managed to ask him a couple of questions. And the beers themselves were enjoyable. Really sort of solid stuff. They're only a nano, really, aren't they, as a brewery?
Yeah, they're tiny, yeah. I found them in Edinburgh myself a few weeks ago and enjoyed having a few of their drinks. I think they're excellent, to be honest. Very impressive. I think they've got a big future. It was great to just chat away on Twitter and ask questions and answer answer questions and interact with people. And if you've never experienced Craft Beer Hour, just pop it into Twitter, have a look, and you can register your details, and maybe you'll win a few beers as well to talk about on Twitter in the months ahead.
I think it happens every week, as is my understanding. It's 9 till 10. It's just the hashtag Craft Beer Hour. And then once every few weeks, there is a brewer on there as well. But it's, as Dave says, it's a great way to interact with people, talk all things craft. Obviously, we like doing that. And if you want to do that with us, there's loads of ways to get in touch with us. We're on Twitter, obviously, as Daftaboutcraft. We're also on Instagram, Daftaboutcraft, Facebook, Daftaboutcraft. And you can even email us, daftaboutcraft1@gmail.com.
There's no excuse not to get in touch.
Daftaboutcraft.
So we've got some great news as well, because we're really happy to have linked up with the Hall Beer Shop in Stourbridge, where I live here in the West Midlands. They're a relatively newcomer to the scene, to the bottle shop scene, and they've got their own shop, and they do local deliveries, national deliveries, and we're really happy to announce that we're linking up with them. And later on, we will be revealing to you how you can get some cheaper beer with a discount code, especially for this podcast. So stay tuned to that. And if you're ever in the area, get yourself down there, because there's loads to buy at Hall Beer Shop in Stourbridge. And in the months ahead, they'll be installing a few lines in there as well. And you can go in there and drink with Paul and Hannah from Hall. And I'm sure you'll have a very good time.
Daftaboutcraft.
Okay, so we had a good lot of news to start things off there, which was really exciting. But now, of course, if you're here for a craft beer podcast, you want to know about beer. So let's begin with the first of our regular features, Brew to Me. This is where Dave and I sample a brewery that we've never had before. So without further ado, I'll kick things off. And I have got Joe, which is an espresso stout, and it's by Good H Brewing Hall. They are Cornish. They've got a few other types of beers going on. I believe they've got Woodman's Wild Ales, which I've got one of in the fridge, and there's another beer from these guys, a DDH Pale, which I've also got in the fridge. So hopes are high with this, if it comes through, that
Those other ones could be going in the bin if this is unsuccessful.
yes, it's a little bit risky, and it's also a little bit risky for me to sort of kick in with a stout, because I do generally go light to dark, but I wanted to mix things up a bit. So they've gone for Starbucks labelling, and I'm supposed to be getting aromas of banoffee pie and profiteroles covered in chocolate sauce with a subtle touch of peated whiskey. So that's quite a complex nose they're promising. I do have a bit of a cold, so I've got to take that into consideration. I don't get any peated whiskey. I do get a little bit of maybe chocolate profiteroles. I'm not sure there's much sort of toffee for banoffee, but it's got a nice, the head's holding up quite nicely. It's sort of coating the glass pretty well.
It looks nice in the glass, that does.
Yeah, it's holding up really nicely. It's not gone thin. Let's taste it, most importantly.
It's not grimacing yet, and it's promising.
It should sparkle on the tongue with flashes of cherry cola, iced coffee, and tobacco leaf, which is, again, very complicated. There is that little bit of smokiness, so perhaps it's that peated whiskey coming through.
Hopefully not tobacco, as in the sort of stench you used to get in a pub the morning after everybody had gone home.
Or your clothes would smell for 3 weeks after.
That's it, yeah.
I definitely don't get any cherry cola. I'd say smoky more than anything. It's not, considering this espresso stout, you'd think it would be one note coffee or very heavy coffee. It's not. It is smoky more than anything. It's not unpleasant. I'm not blown away yet. I did make sure to leave this out for a little bit to warm up to see if that sort of would help. I'm not blown away so far, but nor am I. I'm nowhere near to wanting to pour this or anything.
It wouldn't sort of make you think, oh, I don't want to try anything else from them.
No, I'm certainly still happy. I've got other stuff in the fridge to give a go with. Maybe if I've had this after a few lighter beers, the flavours have cut through a bit more.
Yeah, possible.
That coffee, if it's there, it's quite subtle, which is quite strange.
Yeah, I mean, you would imagine it would be the predominant flavour and taste there, wouldn't you?
It's perhaps not what it says it's supposed to be, but that might not actually be the worst thing in the world.
But do all those flavours come together for something that you would like to drink?
I don't know that I'd have it again. I think I'd have always been sufficiently intrigued. The can art would have got me if I'd have seen this out and about. And if I saw this on tap, I'd probably have a go at it as well, because it'd sound like something I could be interested in. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. I can't say it's a bad beer. It's just possibly a little bit underwhelming.
Maybe they shouldn't have been so adventurous.
Perhaps a little bit less flowery.
Yeah.
With the sort of description. Maybe,
it would have. Your hopes wouldn't have been quite so high then, I guess.
Yeah. I think of the taste notes, I do just get, let's say, an iced coffee. Yeah, okay, maybe at the end, but it's that tobacco leaf. That's the one that stands out for me. It's smoky, doesn't get bitter. It's quite rounded, so that's a compliment. But the sort of idea that there's maybe some cherry fruit going on, a bit of cherry cola sort of fizz or something. That's not there. Not bad, but not amazing.
Right, so it's my turn now on Brew to Me, and, well, I sometimes do like to mix it up. I've had all sorts of stuff over the last 3 episodes, and this time we're going all the way to Sweden for a beer from a brewery called the Brackerit Beer Company. Now, I'd never heard of them before, but I actually picked this up from our new partners Hall in Stourbridge a few weeks ago, and I thought, well, why not give it a go? Now, this is a Berliner Weiss called Berliner Spaz. Now, the description on the front here is a tropical and refreshing Berliner Weiss fermented with passion fruit, vanilla beans. It smells as though I would expect it. Let's pour some out here.
When you say smells as you expected, I'm guessing that smells very funky, very yeasty.
Sort of funky, acidic, yeasty. Yeah, exactly.
Completely not my thing, then.
Probably not, but...
Well, no, but, you know, styles make fights, so...
The brewery's actually been going for 10 years now. Well, 8 years. They had the idea in 2010 and then set up 2 years later in 2012. They've gradually expanded over the years. They produced their first 2,000-litre batch in 2015. It's run by 3 brothers. That's how it was originally. They've expanded the staff a little bit. There's a few more people on board now. I'm amazed I've never heard of them before, to be honest. It's weird how some breweries go under the radar, isn't it? Yeah,
I've never heard of them. Are they going down the sort of Vault City route here? Is Berliner Weiss and Sours where they're at, or are they sort of attempting all styles?
No, this is they've got a bit of a niche, yeah. As they say on their website, they want to ferment beers with nothing but wild yeast and bacteria. So yeah, they have.
Oh, we're sort of in the Little Earth project, and
yeah, they know what they're trying to do, and they're sticking in their lane. But let's see how it. Let's see how it tastes. Sort of a golden yellowish colour in the glass. A little bit of a head, but you wouldn't expect any massive head or anything on that.
It's only a good looking colour in the glass.
Ooh, that is very tart. It is quite tart, but not maybe as tart as I thought it might be. It's quite refreshing, that is. It's light and springy.
What's it weighing in at ABV wise?
5.3%. And this was actually bottled in July 2018 with the best.
Oh, wow.
With the best before date of July 2023, so it's been in here for two and a bit years, 2.5 years nearly. It'd be interesting to see what it tasted like in another couple of years. In fact, I think I might have bought 2, so I can probably find out if I have one in a couple of years' time. No, I like that. That is very nice.
What sort of notes are you getting from then with the taste? What flavours are coming through?
Well, there's supposed to be passion fruit. Yes, I get that. Not sure I get the vanilla beans which you mentioned. No, if you blindfolded me and said taste this, I wouldn't be able to detect those vanilla beans. I'm happy to live with that. That passion fruit comes through. It's fruity, funky, a little bit tart, not mouth puckering. You know that phrase you hear quite a lot, but no, it's not like that. Yeah, you'd probably hate it. So,
is it something you just have on its own at the start of a session, or you just have it as a little refresher, or we pairing this with anything?
Yeah, refreshing is the word that comes to mind. I'm not sure I'd want to drink it all evening. Maybe the start of an evening, have a bottle or 2 of that. Yeah, I can see that going down very well. Building your way up, sort of starting with something light and clean and spritzy. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
You seem pretty happy with it.
Very much. Right, so there you are, 2 new breweries that we've just experienced for the first time. And now it's time for one of our regular features, another of our regular features, Supermarket Sweep, where basically we have a look at what's on the supermarket shelves and grab one of the cans off the shelf, drink some and talk about it. This month we've gone for...
Yeah, we've gone for Green Curve, which is part of Tesco's new release. I mean, we were pretty spoilt for choice given the sort of supermarket craft wars which have erupted in the last few weeks. We've got no end of choice from Morrison's, no end of choice from Tesco. We've ended up on the Tesco side, not any bias at all. It's just this one seemed to keep popping up more often than not on reviews. This is, as I said, Green Curve. It's a Kveik or Kveik.
Kveik.
And it's actually a collab. Dave pointed this out to me not too long ago, and I'd blithely ignored the fact. I just thought it was the North beer straight through, but it's actually a collab with Stillwater, a brewery I've not had in an awful long time.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty big on the hard seltzer sort of front now. And they've been going for some years now, and they're actually one of the world's first gypsy brewers. So sort of travelling around brewing at all sorts of different places. And they've not had much credit for this collab. because we hadn't noticed until just a few minutes ago that it was actually a collab, and not many people have been talking about that. Not sure what input they actually had, but maybe when we can taste it, we can see if we can find a trace of them in there, see what input they may have had.
I mean, it's typical North can art. We've got a lot of green to go, and it smells green, which sounds a bit odd, but it definitely smells green. It smells really sort of grassy, fresh.
It does, yeah. Very carbonated, big head on there as you pour it out. Lots of bubbles going on. Nice colour. Now, I actually had a similar beer to this from Northern Monk not that long ago. Their OFS series 007, which was a Creek IPA, and I remember not being blown away by it, probably because not because there was anything the matter with it, but it just wasn't really my bag. I hope this isn't going to be the same. Let's try some.
Yeah, I've had this style as well. I quite liked it. It was sort of a bit farmhousey, and it sort of goes down that farmhouse saison route, and I sort of quite enjoyed that.
It's not too bad.
It's not for me, this one. They've really gone heavy on it. That's surprising. I was really quite excited about this, purely because when Tesco did I like North a lot as a brewer. I think they do pretty much everything very well.
Yeah.
And the first release of Tesco, Lost Cosmonauts, if you never had it, it's still available. Get that. It's a superb way of finding out about a slightly different taste of a double dry hopped IPA, because it's full, it's boozy, and it's just a really good beer. It's a very good beer for a supermarket, and it's a very good beer full stop, and it's a good way of sort of opening up that style. This is, I mean, I can't fault them for putting a full flavour in a beer here. It's not shy, but I don't know if I like it for it.
It is quite full on, isn't it?
There's a bit midway through where it goes very tart's not the right word. It goes very
tart.
Almost. It's heading towards sour.
It is kind of
dry.
Yeah, it is very dry. Got to say, I probably wouldn't buy that again. I'll tell you what's interesting is that there's no sight of this on North's website.
This was either manufactured very much for the supermarket in mind, or do you think it's actually, although North's coming first in the credits, this could be a bit more Stillwater influence?
Maybe, because the other supermarket, the other beers that are produced by North that are in the supermarkets, their core range, they are on the website, but it's strange that this isn't. There could be any reason for that, but it just struck me as a little bit odd.
It's a little bit of an odd beer. It's just the use of this caveat.
Yeah, maybe we're just not used to it, because it is something you don't come across that often, do you? I wouldn't be searching it out again, though.
It's maybe mellowing a little bit, and I'm getting a bit of melon or something, but it's very acidic-y dry. It really sort of feels like it's drying me out while I'm drinking it, and I don't know that I'm enjoying that. I'm surprised it doesn't quite get you going, actually, because it's sort of heading more towards that drier, funkier side, which is what I would sort of...
I don't dislike it, but...
Pleased it's different. On this occasion, it's just not quite for me.
And that's a ditto from me as well.
Daftaboutcraft.
Right, it's that time of the podcast where we hand over the reins to somebody else to chat to you for a little while. And we bring on a brewer from a well-known craft brewery here in the UK. And today it's the turn of Alex from the Green Duck Brewery in Stourbridge. So very, very close to me. I spend quite a lot of time in their tap room of a weekend. And Alex has very kindly stepped in to tell you what Green Duck have been up to recently and what the future may hold for them. Here we go. Thanks very much, Alex.
Daftaboutcraft.
Hi there, I'm Alex from the Green Duck Brewery in Stourbridge. So Green Duck was formed in 2013. I came on board 4 or 5 years ago. I'm one of the owners and the head brewer. It's obviously interesting times for anyone in the brewing industry at the minute with everything that's going on with COVID. But we're doing all right. We're brewing as much as we've ever done. We're doing lots of home deliveries. We've gone into can and bottle for the first time properly in the last few months, which is going really well. So coming soon, we're going to be producing plenty of fresh cask beers for the rest of the year. But then we've got another canning run planned for the end of October. So there are going to be 2 new beers in the form of a New England IPA and a Pale Ale. And then we'll also be re-releasing our Caught in the Rain Pina Colada beer. Because it sold out so quickly last time, we thought we'd brew it again. Beers from us that we've really enjoyed recently is our first go at a sour. So we're not really very good at naming beers. When we put together rhubarb, vanilla and strawberry and made vanilla berry, a sour beer for that. It tastes kind of like strawberry jam, rhubarb and custard and sherbet. From elsewhere, tried recently Twisted Barrel's Ghost Town. That was brilliant. A mixture of the salt and the fruit and everything those guys, Richie and Chris over there, that they produce is always top notch, and they're one of the best breweries around for me. And they happen to be local as well, which is always good.
Here we are again then for the fourth time. It's time to ask the question, is it hype or is it tripe? Section of the podcast where we pick a beer that's been getting loads of rave reviews, and we see if those rave reviews are justified. And this month it's a little bit different because we're actually going to do two beers, one beer each. And we're focusing on the giants of the East Midlands, Neon Raptor, who are back in the swing of things with a whole load of new releases recently. We'll be looking at their two dippers, Totem Beliefs and Trampled Underfoot.
Neon Raptor underwent a bit of an overhaul during lockdown. They lost their head brewer. I say lost, I believe they just decided to part company. He's in the process of setting up his own brewery. So there's new beer out there. Everyone seems very happy with it. And hopefully we will be too, as I know we're both big fans.
I'm a massive fan of Neon Raptor. Before lockdown occurred, I was one of these people who was sort of hovering over the mouse at 9 a.m. every Friday morning to buy the latest releases on their web shop. And and they're releasing rapidly again now every Friday. And I can see, I've had a couple of their beers recently. I was really impressed. And I can see that the old ways are going to die hard. I think I'll be back on there on a Friday morning to buy more stuff. It was a bit weird the way they just, in lockdown, they didn't do anything. They did a few social media appearances, but there was no beers. The beers didn't come until the beginning of August. That's when they started brewing again. They added Naughty Luggage to their core range of Retro Racer and Night Drive Radio. Then they released their Sour Mandarin IPA. All signs point to Fort Lauderdale, which I had, which was very, very good. And then in September, they released Digital Style, Crushing Blows, and these two dippers we've got tonight. Dave, do you want to go first with your one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, your fanboy's showing through there.
Sorry, I do apologise.
Reeling off the releases. It was quite impressive. It's just, good to see that you're heavily invested in these guys.
I love them. For me, before lockdown, they could do no wrong. But we were a bit worried that when they lost their head brewer, things might go astray. But they've been getting good reviews, and hopefully these dippers will live up to that hype.
Exactly, and this is kind of where Neon Raptor made their name. The sort of as pale as you like, as hoppy as you like, as fruity as you like. But also, I always felt with these guys, never afraid to, if they tell you something is 8 or 9%, it's going to taste like it. They're not going to hide it. Trampled Underfoot has got Citra, Strata, Mosaic, and Simcoe all in it. They say if it was a band, it would be bigger than the gods of rock themselves. So again, we've got some good hyperbole on the go. It looks like a Neon Raptor beer, which is always encouraging. Nice and thick, not much head, wouldn't want it. That's a big fruity nose. I'm very excited about that. That is all of the fruits that I want. It's tropical, probably turned up to 10 to be honest.
It's almost orange in colour, isn't it?
I wouldn't say a bitter dipper, quite dry. I reckon there's a lot of Mosaic in that, possibly Simcoe. I wonder if there's a bit of a dry hop going on. I'm not enjoying it. It's just not. I thought I was going to get a big massive hit of tropical fruit across the chops, and I actually got quite a dry, very dry finish. In fact,
shall I crack mine open while you're digesting that?
Means.
Let's see how this shaped. Oh, what percent was yours? Was 9%, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm in at 9%. It doesn't taste like 9% actually. Having just said that about they sort of not shy of showing you what the ABV is. That's not quite what I expected actually.
Does it smell like your traditional dipper?
It did. It just went a little bit funny there for a moment. I got a real good hit of tropical on the first snifter, and now it's has just gone a little bit chemical. But I will sort of just say, as I said at the start of this podcast, I am dealing with a bit of a cold, so I don't want to be unfair on anything in case it is slightly clouding it.
Let's give Totem Beliefs a road test and see if that lives up. Now, this was the first of the two dippers they released beginning to middle of September, I think. This one's 8%, double IPA with Strata. Let's pour it out.
Strata's at the bell of the ball, although I know Talus is coming through as a new hop that we might be hearing a bit more about soon. But Strata is supposed to be able to do dank and fruity. As I mentioned earlier, when I had the Equilibrium beer at the Coracle, this is Strata. And that was full of fruit, and I do mean full of fruit. That was what set it apart. There was a little bit of a danky sort of dryness, but then it was just an absolute fruit bomb. every time, and it really held together exceptionally well. So I sort of got an idea of what people can do with strata. If this is dominated by strata, and it might not be, it is very grapefruit and dry, which wasn't what I expected. How's yours going down?
This is pretty dry as well, I got to say.
I think we're both having quite a similar experience here, despite having different beers, which is quite surprising.
We should just sort of tell people we're a couple of 100 miles apart from each other. I would love nothing more than to be able to swap glasses and beers now, and to see the difference between these two if we were here in the same room. I think from what we're saying is that these two are actually pretty similar.
It does seem that way. So I've got Strata, Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe. You've got Strata and...
Now, this is just strata, and it's, strata through and through. There's nothing else in there. It's,
So with that single hop, I sound a little bit like a broken record. You're just getting the one note of grapefruit, because I'm just really interested then, because it shows to me that Equilibrium are doing something very different, because when I had This Is Strata, I did not get just grapefruit. I got berries, I got tropical, I got stone fruit, probably got a little bit of bitterness, but not that much. It was just everything.
I think so. I can detect a little bit of stone fruit and a little bit of bitterness as well. I know other people have described it as a fruit bomb and a juice bomb and all this.
Mine's not a juice bomb, definitely. Mine's dry. Mine's dry grapefruit. My memories of Neon Raptor beers are always just in that 6 to 8.5% range. You could almost throw a blanket over them, because they would taste quite similar, but you know exactly what you get, and that would be a lot of juice. And it didn't matter. I didn't sort of mind too much, but I knew it was probably going to taste quite similar to something I'd had before, because it was going to taste damn good. This isn't bad, but it's...
This is... I agree. This is good. It's not knockout. You wouldn't maybe remember it that well.
Yeah, I think I can go as far as good.
I think what we need to ask ourselves is, are Neon Raptor still up there and producing quality beers like they were pre-lockdown? I think the answer is yes. Having had this and a few others as well recently, the Fort Lauderdale one, that was excellent.
Yeah, I had Digital Style, which is that's the Nelson influenced beer, the Nelson Sauvin hop. That was good. That was actually far more reminiscent of what I remembered of Neon Raptor than this. This is a little bit of a departure, and maybe it's just that is a conscious choice. And don't forget, stop living in the past almost with them.
And we mentioned that they've got a new head brewer now as well, and I'm sure he wants to bring his own twist to the game. That may be what we're tasting here.
Yeah, it's certainly not a bad beer. Perhaps my preconceptions have coloured it slightly. I probably can't go as far as to say I think it's absolute hype, but it's definitely not. It's definitely not tripe.
No,
it's somewhere in that middle.
Yeah, I would say it's just past the middle point towards the hype marker.
I'm probably more stuck in the middle.
Okay.
But then I do always come down on if there's a side to come down, I'll come down on the critical side. But
tell you what I'd love to have a big hitting stout from them and see how that measures up to some of their big ones from the past.
I think you're in luck, because I think there's a Banana Clipper, I believe it is called, which is coming out very soon, which is promising banana, chocolate, and something else within it, and it sounds amazing.
I'm going to be all over that then. That sounds fantastic.
I don't know if I'd go as far as to say it's a triumphant return just based solely on this can, but that's a very small and therefore harsh sample size to do it on. They're certainly back. They're certainly not terrible now by any means. The new brewing change hasn't adversely affected anything. It perhaps things are just now slightly different in the way that the whole world is now. Perhaps this is now the new normal with Neon Raptor.
Okay, so you've made it this far in the podcast, and when we kicked off the show today, you'll have heard me mention that we've teamed up with Hall Beer in Stourbridge in the West Midlands, who are a relatively new addition to the bottle shop scene, and they've got their own shop and they've got a website as well, and they do local and national delivery. So if you get along to hall-beer.com, they've got loads of stuff on there. Just in the last week alone, they've added 20 new beers to the web shop. Hannah and Paul are the people behind the operation, great people, and they've got lots of plans for their business over the months ahead, and they've very, very kindly agreed to offer listeners to Daftaboutcraft 10% off any purchases on their web shop. So get along there, hall-beer.com, make your order, and then pop in Daft Hall into the voucher code and you'll get your 10% off. What more could you ask for? So there we are. We've had all our features. That is just about it for Daftaboutcraft for the month of October.
Daftaboutcraft.
Hope you've enjoyed what you've heard on episode number 4. If you have, be sure to tell all your beery friends out there, get them to download us. It's been great to see loads of people getting involved and downloading our podcasts over the last 3 months. From all corners of the globe as well, not just here in the UK. But as ever, we're very greedy, we want more and more and more. So tell your pals, get them to download us. If you've got any questions that you'd like us to tackle, any issues you'd like us to tackle here on Daftaboutcraft, then get in touch with us.
Yeah, it feels like we're really starting to pick up a bit of steam, and that's only thanks to you guys who are downloading or sharing, and as Dave says, telling your mates, which is exactly what we want, as any podcast does. But if you are doing it, don't stop, and if you haven't done it yet, then please do tell someone else who might like to listen and find out a bit more about craft beer. We love doing it, and we're really delighted to start to see a bit of traction and the numbers going up and the interactions going up. And it's just, you know, it makes us smile, and it's why we wanted to do this. So just keep it up, please. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Just search Daftaboutcraft and there will be. And if you want to get in touch on email, we're also there on daftaboutcraft1@gmail.com.
And if there's any beer that you've got a real passion for and that we've not ever mentioned here on the show, let us know what it is and we can review it for you and tell you what we think.
Yeah, we've got plenty in the pipeline. We have ideas aplenty, some of which are already starting to come into fruition. There'll be some stuff happening towards the end of the year and going into the new year, which we're really excited about, and we can't wait to sort of share with you. So please keep listening, keep downloading, and keep getting in touch with us, and we can't wait to speak to you all again soon.
We're going to have a Christmas special. We're not sure how special it's going to be, but we're planning it as we speak. Like Dave says, there's all sorts of things for the future, and hopefully it's a bright time ahead for Daftaboutcraft. So tell everybody about us. Let's get those numbers even higher than they already are, and please download us again next month. We will be back on the first Monday of November. So until then, from me, Dave D, it's goodbye.
And from me, Dave B, fare thee well.
Daftaboutcraft.